Thomas, the Yank engine. There was a golden glow as the sun rose that morning. The Fat Controller arrived early at his office at the big station, as he normally did. He was just finishing his early morning tea as he read through some paperwork when the station master came in. "Excuse me, sir. I have some letters from the post train for you. One has an American stamp." The Fat Controller set down his cup, and as the station master placed the letters on his desk, the stout gentleman immediately went to open the American letter. "Dear Sir Topham Hatt, I operate a Hittridge railway line here in the United States, where we have a variety of steam engines. A lot of our younger visitors have been asking if Thomas the Tank Engine would come and visit us someday. So I'm writing to inquire you if you could spare Thomas for a little while. Our staff would take great care of him while he was away, and I would be happy to pay the ship for the shipment. Kind regards, the Starsburg Railroad Manager." The Fat Controller thought for a moment, scratching his chin. He paced his office for quite some time, until he finally came to a decision. He drove down to Farquhar to tell Thomas and his crew about the proposition. Thomas became very excited. Now, Thomas," said the Fat Controller, "I don't want you telling any of the other engines just yet. I still have to make all the proper arrangements, so keep it to yourself for now." But Thomas couldn't keep his smoke box shut. "I've been invited to the United States," peeped Thomas excitedly to Toby and Percy in the yards. "It would make sense that I'd be the first to pick." "You sound like James," groaned Toby. "You're getting far too big for your wheels," moaned Percy. "No engine is more important than another." "Ha!" Thomas snorted. "You're both jealous. You wish you were lucky as I am." And he puffed away to collect Annie and Clarabelle. "He's always like this. The moment he receives any special attention, it goes right into its funnel." "Well, if it's anything like that breakfast incident, he'll get what's coming soon to him soon," said Toby cheekily. For the rest of the day, whenever Thomas saw another engine, he talked of nothing but his American trip. At Knapford, the big engines were arguing about Thomas. "Why would those Americans want a tiny tank engine like Thomas on their railways?" sniffed James. "He's just a mascot. We do the real work around here," fumed Henry. "Oh dear," called Thomas as he was pulling up alongside Gordon with his passengers. "It sounds like you three's got the envious of me too."
"You won't be feeling so cheeky when you have to get modifications done," grunted Gordon.
"Modifications?" asked Thomas.
"Yes, little Thomas. You'll need modifications to run properly on American tasks. Not to mention, other features are to meet their safety regulations."
"Ha! You don't even know what you're talking about. You've never been to the States," wheezed Thomas.
"My brother has," answered Gordon gruffly. "He had to all kinds of modifications done to him."
But Thomas wasn't having any of it. He whistled loudly as he left the station. Gordon winked and sent at a sniggering James and Henry. "Modifications indeed. Gordon just wants to ruin my trip," Thomas grumbled to Annie and Clarabelle as they were making their way along the line. The two coaches had given up to trying to talk sense into Thomas and said nothing. A few weeks later, the Fat Controller came to speak to Thomas at Farquhar Sheds again.
"Well, Thomas, the details of your trip has been finalised. I'm sending you to the works to have a new coat of paint and some general maintenance and some minor adjustments to you before we have you shipped to America."
"Oh, thank you, sir," said Thomas gleefully. Edward slowly backed up to Thomas and was coupled up.
Toby, Percy and Daisy and the coaches said their goodbyes, although they were happy to have some peace and quiet again. The months passed. Toby and Daisy took it in turns to pull Annie and Clarabelle, while Percy managed the goods work with some help from Mavis. At last, the Fat Controller gathered some engines at Brandon Docks to see Thomas off the The ship was already waiting for the little engine. The others were excited to see Thomas again. Suddenly, the sound of a mighty whistle echoed through the dockside as Murdoch came into view with a long line of heavy trucks and a strange blue object on a flatbed. The blue object had cow catchers, a large whistle, a bell, massive side rods, and a knuckle coupler in front. It also had to be embarrassed to look in his face. "Thomas?" asked Percy earnestly as Murdoch came to a stop. The engines burst into a fit of laughter. "We thought you were only getting a wee adjustments," laughed the Scottish twins. "Look at the state of you," giggled Edward. "Look," called James. "Toby's been painted blue." "It can't be Toby. He's right next to Percy," guffawed Henry. "Henry is right. It's not Toby. It's Thomas the Yank Engine," bellowed Gordon. Another chorus of laughs erupted. Even the Fat Controller couldn't help but chuckle. He quickly composed himself. Cranky had been given a special crane attachment to lift Thomas. He groaned as he lift the non-so-little engine off his flatbed. "See you later, alligator," called Percy in an American accent. "In a while, crocodile," answered Toby. Thomas gave a small smile as he was carefully loaded on board the ship. The captain blew the ship's horn, and it sailed off into the horizon. The engines whistled back. Thomas came home a few months later and swiftly had the modifications taken off. He loved his time away, but happy to be home and feel like his old self again. But a long time afterwards, the other engines kept calling him Thomas the Yank Engine. I don't think our favourite little engine will be able to shake the title off for some time. Do you?